Howdy, everybody. It's time for another episode of Story Time. I've been wanting to do this one for a while. I remember thinking about doing it, and I don't think I've done it. But we're going to talk about my payphone business that seemed like a great idea at the time. And you're going to hear a little bit about that. You live and learn, right? So this was probably around the mid to late 80s. I had some friends that were in Amway, and Amway obviously sold a lot of products. They're kind of known for their cleaning products, laundry detergent and what have you. But it was that network deal, and so they talked me into it. So I kind of follow, and not a lot of the stuff interests me, but there was one guy. We went to some different conferences, and I met a guy in New Jersey who had a rather large payphone business. So I say large, it's all relative, I guess, to, what you consider large. He probably had around 30-ish payphones, and he was making a ton of money. So I remember through Amway, I could buy a payphone. It was around $1,500, if I remember correctly. So after talking to this guy and going, I went over and traveled around New Jersey with him. One day he hit a bunch of different ones, cleaning out the coin boxes and just talking to me about it. And really cool guy. He had a very interesting story. He would be a great interview in today's times if he's still alive. He'd probably be up there in age. He was definitely older than me, so he may not be around anymore. But so I decided to give it a go. So I buy my first payphone, and then I decided, all right, I'm going to put it, now I got to hustle and find a place to put it in. So there was a place on Philadelphia Pike in Wilmington, Delaware. I'm trying to remember the name of the tavern. It might have been called the Hollyoak Tavern or something. It was down Philadelphia Pike was Route 13, and it was that direction was the northbound side headed towards Chester, Pennsylvania, but and Marcus Hook, that region towards PA, obviously. So I get talking to the owner and talk him into allowing me to put a payphone in there, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and so I have one of those wall mount wooden display deals to hold the phone, and you would put your little phone book underneath that little cubicle area. And so I'm trying to figure out where would be a great spot to do it. And then I right behind where I wanted to do that was a restroom. I don't remember if it was the men's or the ladies, whatever, and then there was crawl space up above. So I remember getting the ladder, going up there, trying to mark off where we're going to run the lines, the power line, stuff like that to come down and the phone line. And this is funny as heck. And literally it was probably 30-inch crawl space with pipes and wires going through there and loose insulation. And I'm crawling over these obstacles. And I'll never forget, this was early in the morning. It was 10 in the morning, 9:30, 10 in the morning. So I go up there and I've got a drill and I thought I had it marked off perfectly. So I drill through the ceiling and I realized I was off by a few feet. So all the little insulation fell on top of the bar. There was an opening for the bartender to walk through. And I saw that and I'm like, oh crap, I was really worried. So, and I'm like, I can't let them know I have no idea what I'm doing. Just got to fake it till you make it. That old philosophy, right? So I look around, the bartender, she's not around. So I just swipe that on the floor, and then I look up and no one's around. So I reach into my briefcase. I had those little white rectangular blank address labels. So I stand on top of the bar real quick and I just slap I slap a sticker up there to cover the hole, which matched the white ceiling tile, the white area there. So I was pretty proud of myself that I came up with that quick fix solution, and nobody knew that occurred. So I finally got it right. Finally got the right hole and got the lines run finally. And I had some help. I know I had to have an electrician, but it finally worked, right? So, and I think back then it was like a quarter. I forget how much it was. It wasn't much, but so it started off pretty good. Well, what I found out was those electronic boards are so sensitive, and anything can go wrong, and you kind of have to be pretty sharp. And then there's different updates. Sometimes you have to call into like 800 number to update the board, and you have to get different chips from time to time, which I didn't really know about all that. All I knew was there was this free toll-free number once I purchased, and they can guide me. And it wasn't always as fast as you would like. And so the owner, after a while, he was getting kind of ticked off because the thing kept breaking down, not working. And I think I had it blocked for incoming calls, if I'm not mistaken. I think that was something I was advised to do. But so that was funny. So that's when I was dispatching for the Popo, and it was really hard. If they had a complaint at 10 o'clock in the morning and I was working a 10 or 14-hour shift, I couldn't always get out there right away. Unlike the other guy who owned that business, and that was pretty much his main source of income, and he was making a lot of money. But if there was a problem, he could get there. He didn't have regular employment. So then I talked my friend in. I'm still trying to work through these problems, and my friend about 15 minutes away had a little pizza shop, really nice, great little pizza shop. I mean, they made a lot of money, and there was like one dining room, and then there was another, like a step up, and there was another little small dining room. And I figured, man, this could be a great place. So I talked him into it. So now I've got my second payphone in. I feel like I'm doing something positive. And then sure as heck, I'm working crazy hours, and they're calling me saying the phone's not working. It was getting all these error codes. It was just crazy. It was kind of like taking some people's money. It worked good for a while, but then for whatever reason, those boards were so sensitive. And I remember I had purchased a third phone that I was hoping to get another location for. And then I realized that, okay, this is not going too well, that I'm not electronic savvy. And I thought it was going to be easier than it was. And it turned out to be a debacle. But that first, when I got the, pretty sure it's called the Hollyoak Tavern. I know it was a tavern. I'm pretty sure it's Hollyoak Tavern. That was funny when I had to slap that sticker up there and just trying to get through that crawl space and think I know what I'm doing. And deep down inside, I know I don't know what I'm doing, and move forward. It's almost impossible to find a payphone nowadays. So that could have, I don't know when cell phones really started booming, but it could have been good for a while if I knew what I was doing and I didn't have a full-time job and knew how to get the technical training on that. But it seems like they kept always trying to tell you need to upgrade a chip or this, that, and the other thing. And so it was, I would look at those computer boards, and I'm like, well, this is just a bunch of soldering to me. Soldering and wires. I don't know what the hell to do here. But so that was funny. So I thought I'd share that story because it was done in with good intentions, but it turned out to be harder than I thought. But so eventually I did yank the phone from the tavern, and I did from my buddy's pizza shop as well. I forget how. They might have stayed in for about a year. It wasn't anything real long length period of time. But there was times like, I forget what those little coin boxes would hold. The coin box was probably, 4x4, almost like a little bit bigger than like a Rubik's Cube, maybe. And they would hold a lot of quarters. I mean, there was, like when the guy was showing me his good stops and stuff like that, he'd pull, like, he'd get, I forget how often he checked it, a couple times a week, whatever, but he would like have $150 in quarters and go to another one. It might be 125. The other one might be a little bit more, but you figure it, even if you're just averaging $100 a week and you have 30 of those locations, it could be very profitable if you know what the hell you're doing. But I thought I'd share that story. So every time I see a payphone in an old movie or something like that, or I just watched a video here on YouTube, showed a payphone, and it just cracks me up every time I think about, I forget what I was even called back then. I forget the name. Might have been called Expansion Enterprises or something with expansion, I think. For some reason, I always liked that word. And did not expand too far, by the way. So let me know if you like this story. And it could have been a blessing, because can you imagine if I had 30 payphones and then all of a sudden the cell phones started booming? You remember the old cell phones that they were in a bag, those big monstrous things, and you had to carry them in a bag. And like, I don't know, a lot of you younger people probably don't remember those big old bag phones that were the original cell phones. It was interesting. It was like you had to take a piece of luggage with you everywhere you went just to make a phone call. So anyway, with that being said, I'm on to my next endeavor, my next business. All right. Well, peace out, folks. Love talking to you guys. Always remember the veterans when you can.